3 to 10 months, and we saw to Ink it can be done in a week, maybe a few weeks, because some corrections and stuff. So we want to gather all of these aspects and empower the teams that are already building in the ecosystem. Yeah, I am concerned, honestly, and also honestly, I am not Polkadot maximalist. Wow, that's a deep question.
Hello and welcome. My name is Claudio and this is Cryptos Chain. And joining me today is Markian from 727 Ventures, which is a company that's helping onboard Polkadot ecosystem developers, well, future developers, I should say. But this is just me speculating right now because I don't want to take the fun away from Markian explaining what exactly they're doing. But I got a chance to meet Markian at Polkadot Decoded in Berlin. So it was great to meet him and his team as well. He's got a lot of cool people working for him to basically spread the word about the ecosystem. They've even organized an event in Lisbon. So you'll talk to us about that as well and your plans for the future. But Markian, welcome. Thank you for joining. And yeah, if you want to quickly introduce yourself, how did you get started in Polkadot to begin with?
Hi, Claudio. Glad to be here. Yes, so my name is Markian. I am CEO and founder of 727 and Brushfam. And the reason I'm here today in this beautiful industry is because I think that's one of the things that matter today, maybe even one of the most important things that are happening in the world. And we can notice that our world has become more and more digitalized. And in this digital world, it's important how the information flows, to who it belongs, where it's stored, and so on. We can notice that the things that we own digitally has becoming to increase in its value, and so it's increasingly important who owns and who controls the information and the digital assets. And that's why I believe that Web3 is of great importance in these days, and I can say that's why I'm here today.
Interesting. But why did you choose Polkadot and specifically, like, not Cardano, for example, which was well known in 2018, 2017?
Yeah, because I believe, and our team believes, that Polkadot is the best technology available. And I think we can even co-contribute, as we already did in the past, and will continue to do so. It's an open ecosystem, and everybody could engage and even make it better. As we all know, Substrate is under development constantly, and so every other part, for example, Ink, to which we heavily contributed, and this is exciting. This is growing ecosystem, and everybody can participate and grow the technology. And if you're talking blockchain world, I think blockchain and crypto, there are lots of speculations, but to me, fundamentally, it's about technology, and it should be evaluated as technology. Of course, like it has become a little bit mixed up because it wasn't specifically used only as technology. It was also mixed up with lots of marketing and coin speculation. And if you ask regular person, for example, in Ukraine, they would probably answer, okay, blockchain, yeah, cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. But fundamentally, blockchain is about backend. It's about technology. So for me, the choice of Polkadot is obvious because Polkadot offers the best technology. So what else can there be to discuss?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You sound very convinced. So that's great to hear. So tell us about 727 Ventures. Like, how did you come across starting that, and what do you do at that? What do you do with the company, basically? And how many employees do you have?
Right. So we have around 15 people in the team. 727 is a venture studio. The goal and the business model of the venture studio is in building companies. We act as a co-founder in the company, so full operational co-founder role, like it would be a person, but it's a company. Meaning we take responsibility of stuff, we take operational activity, and so on. Now we are heavily focused on Brushfam, and now telling a bit about Brushfam. Brushfam is a company that is focused on Well, on a few things. Firstly, it's focused on the infrastructure, building the fundamentals, because we see the long-term strategy and we believe that firstly the ground should be built, and we have built several core products being used in the smart contracts ecosystem: OpenBrush, TypeChain, and Salt Ink are three main products that are already built.
So are you building a software development toolkit ultimately?
Well, you can name it like that. It's a base library, like a standard library that every developer is using.
Tell us what is this library?
You can think about it as a basic building block. When you build something on blockchain, you can just use the language and that's it. But then you have to move the long road. And in the engineering world, we have come up with layer up abstractions that make your development easier, improve the speed of the development. Say it would take 4 months, and with OpenBrush, it's 2 months. It's about speed and also security, because you're using something that's already been verified.
Okay, sounds good. And what's the other product then? OpenBrush is one of them, right? But then you have more.
It is, yes. I would say OpenBrush is our flagman, but yes, we do have more indeed. Well, we have Salt Ink. Salt Ink is an automatic transpiler that, if we have to explain it simply, it transpiles your Solidity code to ink. So just one click away, and what was on Solidity is now on ink. This works great for the teams that, for example, want to have 2 code bases, and this is a real use case. We now such teams, and I think as ink grows, this number of teams will increase. It's very convenient. You don't have to develop 2 code bases. You just can use Salt to ink and transpile it like that. So, for example, the amount of time it can reduce, it's very significant. Let's say, to develop an application, it takes, judging on the use case, but 3 to 10 months, and with Salt to Ink, it can be done in a week, maybe few weeks, because some corrections and stuff, but it's just significant decrease.
Yeah, it's basically a way to it's like, think of it like the Google Translate of programming languages, right?
Yes, yes, you can see
copy paste it translates for you, but not so well, with some mistakes. So you need to go in and you need to make those changes manually.
Yes, that is correct. However, we are planning to even improve it, and to make the amount of changes needed even less. So ideally, at some stage, it will just one button, translate, and that's it. It just works.
Wow, amazing. So let's talk about Ink, because I did do some reading on Ink, and I know that Ink smart contracts are the native smart contracts for the Polkadot ecosystem used on Substrate. So, I mean, that is the future. That's the way we see it now, at least in the near future. We don't know, like, how many teams are developing right now, do you know, in the ecosystem to use Ink smart contracts and to fully focus on this idea?
Yeah, that's the pain topic, I think. There are not too much, but you have to understand that Ink is on its very early stage. Like right now, at this moment, before Ink 4 will be released, it will be released soon, but right now it's yet in the development. And right now there is no green light to go ahead and develop it. So everything that you develop, it's in the this early stage when you have to implement lots of changes. There are lots of breaking changes, and Ink is not positioned as a ready language. But as we will have Ink 4 released, I think this the picture will radically change. And also, I think we have used the time pretty productively, because right now we see that ecosystem is more or less filled with convenient libraries that exist in Solidity and that are necessary to develop. Of course, you can develop without them, but if there are no such convenient libraries in the ecosystem, the developers will just not be attracted to develop in that ecosystem. right? And so I think we are somewhere getting to this stage where we can say that the ecosystem is more or less developer ready. And this will mean a green light. And I think the number of developers and companies and teams that are going to use Ink will dramatically increase. But it's our job to do so as well from every perspective, including marketing and including providing even more tools and so on. And that's why there is we have combined our efforts and proposed a bounty, a smart contracts bounty in the treasury, and there will be around 1.5 million bounty allocated for developing of different things like canary dApps that will serve as in examples on how to use Ink, that will demonstrate ideally these beautiful showcases of what is possible to achieve with Ink that is not possible with Solidity. And I assure you there are such cases, and we will want to implement them. And also the incubator will be part of that bounty, because it's as important to help those early stage team that are developing on Ink to empower them, and that is basically the goal of the incubator that is part of the bounty.
Interesting. And I know that you guys in the team at 727 are promoting WASM a lot. And I know that you're working with Astar Network as well. So I have to ask you, why the switch from WASM to Ink? Or will you continue to also recommend WASM to developers as well as Ink? Or will these two work together? Like what is happening now, basically?
Like the WASM is what it gets compiled to. The WASM is just the name for the
WebAssembly.
Yeah, it's just the name for the language that the code gets compiled to. So Ink is just a subset of Rust, right?
Yeah.
And you can write your code in different languages. That's basically the beauty of WASM. And WASM, as we know, is core of Polkadot. So everything of Polkadot is on WASM. And also smart contracts are on WASM. Well, mostly. And so the beauty of WASM is that it's not necessary to write your code on any specific language. You can write it JavaScript, you can write it C++, Java, doesn't matter. Any language that compiles to WASM. So, but because we like Rust and Polkadot likes Rust, we try to promote Rust and Ink. And I think the Rust Ink ecosystem is majorly like advanced in comparison to other. For example, there is an Ask language which is Ink but on JavaScript, but it is in a far less advanced stage. Maybe it will be with the time. Yeah. So right now, if you write code on Ink, it's a Rust code, but with some additional stuff from Ink that helps you write your smart contracts better. And then when you build your contract, it just gets compiled to WASM. And then this WASM bytecode is basically like if we simplify it, you can imagine it as zeros and ones bytecode, like a string. And this gets deployed on the chain, and there it gets executed.
Okay, sounds interesting. Okay, yeah, now I see what you mean, because I was confused with the fact that I knew that you can use JavaScript and you can compile that, and that's the beauty of WASM, that it gives you that flexibility, whereas with EVM, you are forced to use Solidity. There is no other way, right? So that's why we're trying to move away from that. But also, we know that there was a lot of simplicity when it came to developing on Solidity using EVM. Was this because of the large number of Ethereum dApps that were created, and it was just easy for them to port over with EVM? Or what was the reason that EVM was so widely used? Do you know?
That would depend on what exactly you're asking about. Is the question about why EVM was mass adopted and why everybody uses EVM?
Correct. Okay. Why not WASM, and why was it EVM?
In Polkadot?
Yeah, even in Polkadot, because when we started, remember, Moonbeam and Astar began on EVM as well. So they were the first two. And then Astar were the only ones that were looking into WASM, but Moonbeam said, no, we're sticking to EVM. So do you know what is the reason behind? I know that you don't work for any of those teams, but just from a developer perspective.
Yeah, sure. There is a pretty simple answer to that question. And this is only because the Solidity was in the most advanced stage, in the more advanced stage. Just because it was tested and widely used, and there is a huge ecosystem, like I said already, in Ethereum and in all Ethereum-like chains, BNB and so on. And the Polkadot equivalent, let's call it like that. The Polkadot equivalent wasn't just ready, and I think the chain just wanted to not wait and go ahead and start attracting users, and that's why. But now we have used the time and we have prepared stuff, and I can say that till the end of this month, with the Ink 4 being released, the ecosystem is ready. But with the amount of programs that are currently active and with the amount of stakeholders like Astar, like Aleph Zero, like Phala, I think this amount of team will greatly increase over the next year. Say only because Aleph Zero, for example, has a plan of 50 active teams that are going to be deployed over the next year. So
wow, that's insane. That's insane. And yeah, I mean, you're definitely doing a great job trying to bring a lot of developers as well. So congratulations to that. Let's talk about the events as well. I know you organized the Web Summit, didn't you? And for the Polkadot side. So it was like, was it the side event that you organized, or what exactly did the team at 727 Ventures organize in Lisbon last year?
okay, yeah, we cannot take credit for the whole Web Summit, you know.
Yeah, but the
Polkadot
part.
booth, yeah. Yeah, yeah, we did indeed. I would say that was a great challenge from the beginning to an end. And I would say subjectively that we did it gracefully and with great success to Polkadot. Because well, there are multiple perspectives on how we can evaluate the effectiveness, right? But let's just look at it like that. On the Web Summit, the only projects that were actively represented with a big amount of representation, like a big booth, and with people representing it and giving impression of what Web3 is about, was only Sexes, like Binance and stuff, and Polkadot. And so what I think that has given to the people in terms of mass adoption is that Polkadot equals Web3. And that was kind of our under mission of this endeavor. And yeah, so from the first stage, for us, it was about the mass adoption, about going to the web, because like I said, I think blockchain is a backend stuff, and right now people often wrongly associate with cryptocurrency, with speculations, and also do not try to resolve the real world problems. And I think like what we should focus in this great industry is resolving the real problems. And Web Summit was just in my opinion, a great connection point to that, right? Because it's the biggest web conference, and people from all around the world are gathered there. People that have different, like from different edges of the web industry, and in those combinations, we can, like, if you want to be Web3, we have to grow the web to Web3, right? That is the best.
Yeah.
The best touching point.
Absolutely. And what do you think about future events then? Are you planning any more related events?
Yeah, we do.
Which is the next one?
Hackathon and WASP Smart Contracts Conference. This is a combined event.
Where and when as well?
Where online? We'll do it online this time. And when, I think around May, somewhere around beginning of May or end of April. Yeah, you will soon see the proposal in the treasury. We are somewhere on the final stages of preparing a proposal. So the goal of the hackathon, the reason why we want to do it is exactly the same as we are discussing right now. It's we want to empower the teams that build on Ink, right? And we have to do actions towards that. So the goal of the hackathon will be to gather all of the teams with traction that ideally have from 3 to let's say 8 months of traction, and empower them from the different perspectives. Give them tech knowledge because they may have some knowledge, but it can be not good enough. And we know that for a fact because we speak with a lots of teams, and they could use this improvement of knowledge from the tech experts, from the best tech people, like our team, like Astar, like Aleph Zero. They all will be there and Phala. And and also from the marketing perspective, because that is as much important as tech in the young company, and also finance, like some basic knowledge is usually useful for founders, especially if it's their first company, right?
Yeah.
So we want to gather all of these aspects and empower the teams that are already building in the ecosystem. That is basically the goal of the hackathon.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, and it will all start with the conference, because initially we planned it as a hackathon, but then we thought, okay, previous year we've organized a WASM Smart Contracts conference, right? And it was pretty successful. And now in the beginning stage of the hackathon, in the first stage of the hackathon, we want to give people knowledge, like the base panels of knowledge. And why wouldn't we do the conference? It will be the next conference after the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. You get to see what people get to build, and then you can do a conference after as well. And people will get to present their work from the hackathon. So it should be interesting.
Yeah.
So I need to ask you, I know it's not your area of expertise, but are you not a bit concerned of what we're seeing in the Polkadot ecosystem right now in terms of lack of liquidity, but a lot of development activity? So it's great that we have a lot of development activity. We've been discussing this before in private groups, and and everyone in the ecosystem knows this is the problem. So what's your perspective on this? Do you think there is a way for us to solve this with a lot of development, or do you think it's a totally separate issue and it has to be tackled from a different aspect?
Yeah, I am concerned. I think honestly, definitely combined. Also, honestly, I am not Polkadot maximalist, so don't take me as such. I want to view the perspective very clearly and be honest with myself, with my team, and with everyone I speak to. So yes, I am concerned. And I can say even more. I am committed to do everything to change that. As my track record says, even the Web Summit was about changing that. I think it's been, of course, widely speculated and said that Polkadot likes marketing. Perhaps it is true. Well, I can say we could use more marketing. But also I think that Polkadot has its fundamental approach, and you have to understand that Polkadot's idea is very fundamental. So with this kind of ideas, it takes more time. Let's say it like that. It takes more time to get them bootstrapped. Of course, like some things could have done maybe better, something could have improved, but in general, I think the ecosystem and the technology, because again, what's important to me is the technology will take its place, has already taken its place, and will evolve. Now, if we are being more practical, if we are taking like real application and use cases, because that's what the concern of liquidity is about, right? Like if you have the applications that wants to get deployed on Polkadot and the business team sees there is no liquidity, okay, there will be no users, and okay, Polkadot, we don't want to take Polkadot because of that. Yes, there could be such problem. But I think that, well, firstly, we want to have as a bridge, and I think we already have some strong bridges that should solve the liquidity problem. Like my idea is to use Polkadot as a technology and use bridges to like have seamless liquidity from the other chains, because the liquidity is out there on the other chains. If you have bridge, you can just attract it through the bridge and use Polkadot as a tag. Or there can be other use case when you don't care about the liquidity. Imagine a case with a database. If you want a really trusted, in a trustless way, decentralized database, right?
Yeah.
If you want to trust that the database won't be corrupted, in that case, you don't need liquidity, because
True.
only liquidity.
Because of the use case. Yeah.
Yes. So for such use cases, liquidity is not a problem at all. And for the cases where we need liquidity, I think the solution is in the bridges.
Okay, but then aside from the bridges, it's like the question is, why should they go to Polkadot's ecosystem and use the DeFi product when they can stay on Binance Smart Chain or Ethereum, which has a lot more liquidity, and they offer a similar product?
That is a good question.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges we need to solve in terms of DeFi, of course. But like you said, if the use case is NFTs or privacy or database related or something, anything related with data, I don't think we need we need to worry about such things.
Yeah, I think the discussion should be not about what chain will live and what chain will die. I think every chain, well, hopefully every, has a particular use case, and Polkadot is taking its niche, and the other chains are also taking their niche, so it's fine. And with regards to the DeFi and why somebody would choose Polkadot, I think I think Polkadot has a lot to offer from different perspectives, and we should concentrate on that, leverage it, demonstrate it, and provide the best possible experience for users. Like the most fundamental stuff is just the gas fees, right? On Ethereum, they're extremely huge. And also, we have seen what happened to the chains that didn't survive, right? I think that's also an important point for Polkadot. It's that we can, judging from the engineering side, I think we can trust Polkadot much better than we can trust some other chains. And also its level of decentralization. Because the chain can be fast and with low gas fees, but it is not very decentralized, which doesn't make it trustworthy, right? So I think we can trust Polkadot stack. We can trust that the engineers behind it did really great job, and they were really careful to develop the stuff that can be relied upon, which is important to me.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you, Markian. I appreciate it. Is there anything else exciting that you're working on with your team over at 727 that you would like to share? Aside from Ink, because you already said you're working on the awesome Ink.
Yeah, I think we have lots of things. The one that I am inclined to talk about a little bit is that like Brushfam, one of the things that Brushfam is focused on is on empowering businesses using blockchain. So we are starting to work with the established businesses that are considering Web3 as their way to grow the revenue or to solve the particular business problem. Like we in Brushfam really want to get practical. We don't want to speculate or build another DeFi. I don't think there is a lot of sense in that. But what we want to do is to go to the businesses and say to them, okay, you have the problem. We can solve it with the blockchain.
To Web2 businesses, you mean?
Yes, Web2, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So on the one hand, I think this is greatly what the industry needs, because people are slowly starting to realize the possibilities of blockchain, but it's a slow process. We need to make it quicker. And from the other hand, these showcases could become huge and could become big advocate for Polkadot and of course for Brushfam.
Sounds good. And now that you are talking about Web2 businesses come into Web3, Have you had a chance to look at Phala Network's Phat contract that they're working on to connect Web 2 to Web 3 while maintaining the computational power? Because to me, that just seems really good. And I have spoken to a few people who want to use the Phat contract to connect Web 2 to Web 3. Have you had a chance to look at it from your developer perspective? What do you think of it?
Yeah, of course. I think Phala are building a great product. And I genuinely think that Phala is one of the most cleverest team in the ecosystem. So I admire the team and their product greatly.
Awesome, awesome. And do you think you'll see businesses actually be able to connect Web 2 to Web 3 in an easy way with the Phat contract? Have you had a chance to look at the code, basically?
Not really at the code. I am a little bit away from the days when I look a lot into the code. But yeah, but I think the Phat contracts are really great and unique use case, right? Because they offer off-chain computation, and I think we have yet to unveil their and see their potential. But
Yeah.
what the guys are developing, it's really a new unique use case.
Markian, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on. I have one final question for you, which I ask everyone who comes on this channel for the first time, and that's, what is one thing in life that you truly desire?
Wow, that's a deep question. I think there is more than one. I definitely want to make my company successful. As you know, 727 is a venture studio, right? And it is there for a reason. So right now we are focused almost fully on Brushfam. But I'm constantly looking on the market and on the business ideas. And I have a few ideas that we will surely be pursuing in the very nearest future, as soon as we establish everything operation in Brushfam and I can free my time. And so my goal and the desire to answer your question is to build a product that will transform a big amount of human lives for the better.
That's good. Good to hear. Cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And hopefully we can achieve that. And by the way, if you want to follow Markian, you can do so on Twitter. The link will be posted in the description of this video.